Marcy coming to you from Laura's World, and today I have a really good friend of mine, Marcia, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about a little of this and a little of that. I just have to preface this whole thing by letting you know a little bit about Marcia and I. Marcia and I, oh my God, over 25 years we've been friends for. And I have to tell you how we met, because this is great. So I am sitting in a bar, shocker, and this little girl comes, walking up to me, and she's like, "Is your name Lori?" And I'm looking at her like, "Who the hell are you?" And I go, "Yeah." And she says to me, "Are you dating so-and-so?" We won't say names.
Good recovery.
And I look at her like, okay, if that's what you want to call it, dating. But I said, yeah. And she's like, well, he's my boyfriend or something to that effect. And I was like, oh, sorry. I didn't know. And I am so sorry. I'm going to, I'm never going to see him again and whatever. And I asked her to sit down with me and have a drink. We were at a comedy club or something.
Yes, we were.
You just walked right up to me. I love that. And honestly, we both decided not to see this guy anymore, and we became fast friends. And we've been friends for a long time. Marcia does not have a problem with drinking. But you know what? Marcia's one of these people that, I don't have to talk to you every single day. We may not see each other for months at a time. But, of course, I send you a good morning every morning to let you know that I'm thinking of you. But, once we get back together, it's like we're picked up right where we left off.
Like I saw you yesterday.
Yeah. And over the years, you started to call me and just mention little things about, Tony was having a little bit of a hard time with it. And so maybe you want to tell me what was going on at that time.
Sure. So when I met my husband, he was adorable. He was fun and he was sweet and he drank, but I had friends who drank. And so I didn't discount that because it didn't.
We were a good time.
Yeah, it didn't impact my life. I had a good time, and it was great. And so I think it was. We got married and everything was great, and then so it wasn't. And I know I reached out to you, and I reached out to a couple of different people, and I was like, my being he goes to work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's we're not having any trouble with paying our bills. It's just, when a medical professional tells you to take a break for a month and it's that elusive month, and I couldn't understand it. And so I was angry. I'm going to say, and Tony, lovable guy. Never said a never said a mean word. Never angry, or never angry at me. And one and only time in our whole relationship that he was angry is when he got to treatment and he called. And I don't know who this person was on the phone, but he was belligerent and he was nasty and he was mean, and I was just like, Who is this? Yeah.
And get him out of there, because
I
don't like this.
I don't want this. So
this is not what I want.
So he hung up on me, and the phone rang, and so the people there were like, "Well, you need to get some help yourself." And I thought,
I don't have a drinking
problem. I don't have a drinking problem.
No, and you didn't. But
and
what
I don't
kind
have,
of help? Right.
Yeah, and I don't. Have you seen me? I have the cape on. I do everything.
I've been taking care of him.
I run the ship. I am the captain. I am the steward. I am the hostess. I'm the waitress. I'm the bill payer.
What am I doing wrong?
What am I doing wrong? They suggested I go to had to say this Al-Anon, and I went to my first meeting the weekend that Tony went into treatment, and I looked at these people, and I was angry. I was angry that there was one more thing I had to do. You know, it was quiet in the house when Tony was in rehab. And you know, when I went to visit him, he looked good, and he was the one. You know, I talk about all the time about the guy I fell in love with and the guy that has a disease. Two different guys, but I could see glimmers of the guy I fell in love with. And so I'm like, if I could just peel away all this crud.
If you could do it.
If I could do it. If I could just pull the crud away. He's there. He's in there. When he came back, and he had to, you know, it's a discount rehab, but it's a kind of like alternate universe. You know, you don't have any responsibilities. You're very isolated. It's very controlled. It's very, you know. And then you come back out to the world, and they go, okay, here you go. You're back into the world, and good luck. And I really do think that he really, in his heart of heart, he thought that he didn't need the help. You know what I mean? And
it's an ego thing.
Yeah, no.
It's an ego thing. Why should I have somebody else tell me what I need to do? I know me. These people don't know me. You don't know me.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I know
it's embarrassing.
It is.
And
when he was in treatment, the counselor said to him, "You need to lose all those friends because his friends are all drinkers." Yeah. And he'd rather cut off both his arms than give up. That was his family.
Yeah.
They're going to be a hindrance because if they continue to do what they're going to do, it's going to make it that much harder. And
what do they say? If you go to the barbershop long enough, hang out at the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut.
Yeah.
You know, we're at a point where this is his journey, this is mine,
and there's nothing
that's why I called you. There was nothing you can do.
There's nothing I can do.
I called
the most awful phrase in the whole world is there's nothing I can do.
Yeah. Lori, I don't think he's going to make it to his birthday.
Oh, his 44th birthday.
His 44th birthday, and I'm saying to myself, stop being so dramatic. My God, it's only alcohol.
Yeah. It's only beer.
It's only beer. And I'm, and
but by that point, his eyes were yellow.
Yeah.
He had orange skin. And
I hadn't seen him.
Yeah,
because he didn't want anybody to see.
And he's been hiding, and so.
So you're telling me these things, and I'm just like
I'm getting a front row seat, and I still have this. For me, it was a coping mechanism because after a while, I was like, all right. I mean, we were in that last year. We were frequent flyers at the emergency room.
Yeah.
So we knew all the doctors. They were like, "Hey, you're here," and it's funny. We went into the emergency room in June of that year, and 2010, and so we go up because he's throwing the blood, and so the hospital. And they're like, any other underlying problems? And this is, to me, very interesting about this disease, is, I have high cholesterol. And I'm like, dude, you're like throwing up blood. You got end-stage liver disease. You want to, tell someone that? I mean, cholesterol.
Yeah.
He ended up having to have emergency surgery to close up all the veins in his neck. And so this was the start of he's going to die. That's what I kept hearing from doctors. He's going to die. And I'm like, we're all going to, we're all going to die. Yeah. And he goes like, no, he's going to die. And, and
he's 43 years old.
He's 43. Okay.
It's
whatever.
just alcohol.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And so, he would do, he had 9 lives. And he would, he'd be scared out of his mind. And I'm never going to drink again, and I'm going to be good, and I'm going to And then he started to feel better, and then the old tape started with, I don't really think it was the drinking that did that. I must have had a sore throat, and it must have opened the veins because everyone who has a sore throat, throws up blood. He did it, and so we trickled along, and I was thrilled for you because and I would say to him, if Lori did it, come on! I mean, really? I mean, I could tell you stories that would like curl your hair, and I'm thinking, she got it, and I thought that if I somehow, so because there's still that fixer in me. Yeah. Well, if I put them together, he'll see. Yeah. He'll look at her and he'll see how good she is. She'll tell him how good she feels.
Yeah, 4 months sober. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm great.
Well, you were 4 months sober than he was, so I thought, I didn't even realize, that the private conversations that you were having, because we were having our own kind of discussion from my point of view, and he was telling it from his point of view, and you kind of got the whole stage production of what was happening. But he probably started in June. We were talking, and he would say to me, "I'm not going to be here for the holidays." And I thought, "Oh, knock it off." Yeah. It's the holidays. Yeah. It's 6 months away. Knock it off. It was. I couldn't fathom it, and and I'm like, this is going to be fine. And we did this. He'd be really bad, and they'd say he's going to die, and I'd say, okay, and then they would do the. No, really. Listen to what I'm saying.
Even when you called me, I was like, all right, Marcia, stop being so dramatic.
He's gonna die. Yeah. And I mean, I think the last time, was I'm gonna try to hold it together. Was he woke up on a Saturday morning and he said, "I'm having a hard time breathing." And so I said, okay, let's get a car. We'll go back to the emergency room. And
again,
they know your name. Yeah. I mean, it's like we probably get, VIP treatment. No, I don't want to go to the hospital. And I remember saying to him, okay, I'm going to wait for you to stop breathing, and then I'm going to call the ambulance because I'm not playing this game. Because, with a little bit of program comes a little bit of different tools of detaching. Well, if you're not going to help yourself, then I'm not going to sit here and watch you have a hard time breathing if you're not going to do anything for yourself. Mm-hmm. So all right, and I walked away. It was probably in the evening time, and he finally came out and said, we need to go to the hospital, which he knows words never came out of his mouth. And so we went down, and again, do you have any underlying conditions? I have high cholesterol. Yeah. And and so. It was almost, it almost seems like it's surreal because, the things that just transpired. Of course, it was the weekend because he loved to do this on the weekend when neither one of his doctors are on call on the weekend. So we get a whole new set of people. And he had just been in the week before to get trained. And so goes in and they're doing things and they come back and he's bleeding internally. And okay, and so what does that? So right. Okay, like I'm here, right. All right, he's bleeding internally, like that's like he stubbed his toe. Yeah. All right, and things just progressed, and then his liver started shutting down, and so they had to do dialysis because his ammonia levels were getting too high. So at this point, I would call him loopy. Like I'd be talking to him and he'd be, out in left field somewhere, and I'd say to the nurse, "What did you give him?" And she goes, "We didn't give him anything." She said, "That's his ammonia level getting too high." So all right, so we had to do emergency surgery and we had to do dialysis, and so he's fine. I left. I came back, and they said, you can't go in, because you do dialysis, okay. And we coded. And so I was still in a state of shock. And I'm like, that can't be. He's 43 now. It's
the day before.
It's Sunday. It's the 2 days to his birthday. And the only thing that he had said to me when we went into the hospital on Saturday was, I do not want to be in the hospital for my birthday. And I thought, yeah, okay. It's going to be okay. No, I do not want to be in the hospital for my birthday. So all this thing is happening, and things went from bad to worse, and they, they sent me home, and I came back, and they said, there's nothing we can do for him now, and he's on a ventilator, so we don't know if he's breathing on his own. We're giving him medication to keep his heart rate up. We're giving him medication to keep his blood pressure regulated. We're giving him this, and we're doing this, but it's not going to do anything for him. So you need to make a decision. And I'm going to tell you, at 45, that was the hardest conversation I've ever had with a doctor, to tell me, you need to make a decision. Do you want to take him off life support, or do you want to keep him? Now, me personally would have left him plugged in for, the next, 30 years, because I could touch him and I could feel him, and he was there. And so it came to a point, different people were chatting with me, and so he decided to do it. So he comes from a very large family. And so, it was like this circus of, I vaguely remember, I see images of people in and out and in and out. And, I can't even remember if I called you.
You did.
I did. So there are some people that I called, and then there were, that I don't remember doing that. And so within 2 minutes of them turning the machine off, he died. And so here I have to go back a little bit. In program, I decided my best defense was I was going to have a plan. I was going to have a plan of action, because I knew where the bus was going. Logically, I knew the bus was leaving. He was going to die on me, and I made lists, and I had, I had spreadsheets. You know me. I had spreadsheets of what I was going to do and how this was going to go, and all the different things that were going to happen. That when it happened meant absolutely nothing. I was devastated. I probably called you, my roommate from college, and one other friend, and everything else was kind of like a blur for me. And I was just like, this can't be happening.
I remember going to the services, and I was 5 months sober. And after leaving the service, I pulled over to the side of the road, and I don't think I've cried that hard ever. And, of course it was for Tony, but it was, the realization had hit me that this disease is serious, man. And so I was crying for myself now, and I'm crying for my son now, and I'm like, oh my God, if this happened to Tony, I didn't realize, and because they're not talked about enough. This was the first time that I knew that it was real.
Right. Well, because they talk about, this disease could kill you. Oh, okay. Well, all right. So and you can read that in a book, but
this was the first.
It's like a first-hand knowledge.
I had a picture of you and Tony in a frame, and I had on a shelf, and I would talk to him, And the next day, the freaking picture would be like on the floor. Remember that?
Yeah.
I'm like, don't stop it.
Oh yeah. Stop doing that,
Stop
Tony.
doing that. But for me, I will never forget Tony. What a great person he was. And unfortunately, but fortunately, it was my wake up call. And I miss them, and I know you do too. 10 years.
10 years.
10 years. 10 years.
It's been 10 years.
Yeah.
But you talk about the picture falling down. So there, I know he's still around, because it's interesting. Once he passed, myself and most of his friends, everyone would hear "Passion" by Led Zeppelin. And so for me, and it happens, and it could be just coincidence, but I think it's
There are no coincidences, I feel.
It's if I'm having a bad day, or I'm overthinking things, or I am, I'm rehashing the past. You know what I mean? And I know, when I'm in a good frame of mind, there's nothing I could do. I did the best I could at that time. I can't go back in time and make it different. And so when I'm having a bad day, or I'm beating myself up about what I should have done, or I could have done this better, Cashmere comes on, and it's almost like a little
Tony,
like a little ta-da, okay,
all right.
I'm here. It's fine, whatever. The other thing is pennies up here. I was on the highway driving, and I was speeding, and I know, and I was speeding, shocker, and I was speeding in, and I opened the car door to get out of my car, and there on the running board is this penny, and there's no way at 80 that penny is staying on that runway. It's hard though. It's gotten better 10 years later, but I still do the last weekend of maybe if I did this differently, the outcome would be different. But and I talked to a friend.
And you still do programs?
I do.
10 years later.
I do.
I do. And it helps you.
Oh God, it's tremendous, because I'm going to tell you, at the heart of Tony's disease, when he was, nuts, and I had non-program people, and
that made you nuts.
Yeah, that were telling me it was all my fault. If we had a baby, if I was a better wife, if I hopped on one foot, 17 times, every day, it would be better. And then you have the other group of people that were non-program that were sick of listening to me, because I would be saying the same thing, and they would say, "Look it. I already told you this once. I've already had this conversation with you. I'm not having this conversation with you again. Yeah. So if you're not going to listen to me, we can't talk about it." And I lost lots of friends because they were
they didn't understand.
And so the big thing is it's emotions. If I didn't love Tony, it would be easy to detach, to be like whatever. But it's that emotional attachment that gets you into trouble. And so with program people, they said I only had to do 6 meetings. And I thought, fine, give me 6 meetings, tell me how to make them stop drinking, and I'm out of here. But when I took a step back and I actually paid attention and I listened, I could hear stories from every person, and it may not be the same, but there's a common thread in Al-Anon. And unlike people outside of the program, I could say the same things repeatedly. It's the repetition of the program, and you can say whatever you want to me. You know what I mean? Like place. You say anything to me, I say anything to you, but it was just like I could say whatever, or I could, after Tony died, I did nothing but cry, and they let me cry, and it's interesting because people in program were like, we're going to let her cry. We're not going to ask her why she's crying. We kind of know. Yeah. But, the people outside of the program would be like, what's the matter? Are you not better? You know what I mean? And, it was interesting because people were, like, how are you? The answer was okay or fine. The moment I deviated from the program and said something like, I'm really having a hard day, you could see that deer in the headlight, like oh, I'm going to have to come up with a follow-up question because she's talking to me, and all I wanted to do was tell me okay and fine. You know what I mean? It was just so, it was like, so I learned to talk to people in program. When I was struggling, it was people in program I talked to. Because the people out there just wanted me to be better. Just be better. Just be better. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, so the thing about, like a snow globe, I mean, my world just got totally upside down. Everyone else has gone back to real life, and I'm like, my life is like, what do I do now? You know what I mean? So I still go. I do service in this program. I have gained a lot. I have gained some sort of, I rediscovered me. I mean, awesome. For like the last a couple of years of Tony's life, you know, I had a wonderful sense of humor. And
You still do.
and
I've
for a
loving
while
it.
there, I didn't.
didn't,
You know,
yeah.
everything was so serious,
Serious.
and I could identify with you when you went into your first meeting, because I did too go into my first meeting, and they were all
Angry.
smiling
Yeah,
and laughing,
angry.
and I thought, well, I'm in the wrong place. I need the miserable people. Where are they? Because this must be the happy meeting. And it annoyed me that these people were happy. But today, I'm a happy person. I've gotten my sense of humor back in full glory.
In spades.
In spades.
I love it.
I like who I am today. Am I still working on myself? Absolutely.
But you know what? We could be crazy without drinking, and
crazy without enabling, and know the boundaries.
Yeah, and no boundaries.
Boundaries are huge.
And I love that we've been on this journey together.
Yeah, we've come full circle, though.
We really
You know what I
have.
mean? I mean, we went from sharing a man, which I wouldn't recommend doing. Creepy.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You know, and I
like
say to friends all the time, and they're like, "Well, how did you meet Lori?" And it's always very interesting, because it's like, we shared the same man, not together,
Oh my
but
God.
separately. And then we both got smart and we left him. So
Everything happens for a reason. Well, thank you for joining us. We had a great time. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I love this girl to death, and I know that you guys do too now. And join us next time. And remember, always trust your journey. Mwah.